starting in 3, 2, 1. Hi, dear colleagues. The members of PCIe, Robert Heisen, Norman Oz, Mary Kay Butler by video, John J. O'Sullivan, and Jessica Lord Thompson taking part in the meeting. Also, HQCJ members also take part in this session. Names follow.
Сергій Чумак теж доєднається трохи пізніше, і Галина Шевчук. Головуючим є я, заступник голови комісії
Олег chair of the HQCJ, Олег Колюш. Katerina Doroshenko is the secretary. The commission has quorum. And I announce the meeting of HQCJ and PCIA is announced to be open. Live broadcast is being made. We shall consider compliance of the candidates to the judge's position at the Hague Court. The list of candidates: Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych, Bazaluk Victoria Volodymyrivna, Batyuk Oleg Oleksievich. Will HQCJ and PCIA members have any proposals to make? No proposals. Then let us vote for to adopt this agenda. PCIe members voted unanimously. And now we can pass to the issues on our agenda. And please inform us of the presence of the candidates, Secretary of the Commission. The invited candidates appeared to the session: Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych, Bazaluk Victoria Volodymyrivna, Batyuk Oleg Oleksievich. Please invite the candidate to the judge's position at the Hague, Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych. Hi, please be seated. As you are answering the questions, please press the button and please be seated close to the mic. Compliance of the candidate Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych is being considered according to the Ukrainian law. Robert Heinrich Harzen, Norman Oz, Mary Butler by video, John J. O'Sullivan, Jessica Lord Thompson are PCIe members present. HQCJ members are present. Names follow. Is the composition of commission clear to you? Yes, it is. Your rights are, you have the right to make recusals according to legal grounds, provide your reasoning, objections, appeal the commission's decision according to the law, and no new materials are being considered by the special session. In case new circumstances can substantially affect the status of the candidate's profile, with the approval of 3 HQCJ members, new materials can be considered, and with the approval of at least 3 PCIe members. Any questions? No questions. Do you have recusals or motions? No, I don't. All right. Then we can transition to the report. The rapporteur is Roman Sabodash. You have the floor. Thank you, Oleg. Before making the report, I would like to say the following. Halina Kret is the candidate's wife, and I studied with her at university in 2004. We have not maintained relationship since then, but it is important to state it. So in case recusals have appeared after that, any other questions, any thoughts regarding the just announced information? Then we can continue. Colleagues, HQCJ decision as of June 3rd, 2025 announced the competition to 20 through 23 vacancies of the Hague judges and the appellate chamber of the Hague. Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych turned to the commission and submitted his documents. He was allowed to take part in the qualification assessment. Kovalchuk Serhiy Oleksandrovych is 46 years old. He's a citizen of Ukraine. In 2002, he earned a degree in law from Precarpathian University, named after Vasil Stefanik. His areas of expertise are criminal process and criminalistics. In 2020, the scientific board of the National University of Odessa Law Academy
Перепрошую, було присвоєно у 2020 році, йому було присвоєно вчене звання професора кафедри кримінального процесу та криміналістики.
In 2020, the scientific board of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine of the National University of Odessa Law Academy awarded the candidate with the scientific title of Professor of the Department of Criminal Process and Criminalistics. Since June 2002 to October 2002, the candidate was a legal counselor at the Carpathian Agro-Industrial Company, LLC. Since 2008 to 2017, he has worked as associate professor in Ivano-Frankivsk faculty, Legal Institute of Odessa National Law Academy. Since 2017 to 2018, the candidate worked as the associate professor at the Department of Criminal Justice at Chernivtsi Law Institute of the National University Odessa Law Academy. From 2024 to 2025, the candidate was a professor at the Department of Criminal Law, Process and Criminalistics at Kyiv University of Intellectual Property and Law of the National University Odessa Law Academy. And there was also a period where the candidate was a pro-rector of Ivano-Frankivsk Law Faculty of Odessa Law Academy. There are some specificities there. According to the questionnaire, the candidate took part in the competitions to be a judge of the Supreme Court, of the HQCJ and High Council of Justice, and he did not pass any. The candidate Kovalchuk submitted declaration about his family relations, integrity declaration as per 2024, and the declaration of a individual capable to serve the state or to be part of the local self-government. Do you have any contributions to make? No, I don't. Then over to the PCIe chair, Robert.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rapporteur. Our rapporteur is Norman Aas, and he will be asking you the questions.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, Mr. Kovalchuk. As Robert said, my name is Norman Aas. I'm from Estonia. I'm attorney at the moment, but I former prosecutor as well. And thank you for this your participation of this competition, and congratulations that you have reached this joint meeting phase. And we have already. You have already shared during the written announcement and questions rounds, explanations and provided documents. So thank you for that. But this is the public interview, and in the sake of the transparency and the public awareness, I will cover some of them again. So this doesn't mean that we didn't understand your answers, but this is in the context of the public interview. I'd like to start with your previous experience in the legal field, and can you please briefly describe the different legal positions you have held within the Ukrainian legal system to date? That please focus especially on the aspects why you think you suitable to be a good hack judge.
Перш за все, хочу звернути увагу,
In the first place, I'd like to mention that since 2002, my main field of activity is a scientific one, and I defended a thesis to become PhD and then Doctor of Law in 2007 and 2020 respectively. Writing of those theses was accompanied by publishing articles, and those theses, the articles were dedicated to criminal process mostly, and also to criminal law. The areas beyond thesis oftentimes related to criminal law. I also had an experience of working as a legal counsel and the head of the legal department of a group of companies. It was from 2002 to 2007 and early 2008. I would prepare agreements, claims. I would also represent legal entities in courts. Those cases were not criminal. Those were civil, administrative, and commercial disputes. But I do have experience of representing clients in court. And I did not agree with the decision of the Ethical Council that recognized me as non-ethical to hold the position. But I appealed that decision, and I represented my interests in the Supreme Court. Moreover, I also have had fines for speed violations, but I also participated in the court hearings pertaining to these cases, and experience in criminal proceedings. It's not that big. I did not defend the suspect in criminal proceeding, but as I was writing scientific articles, I would update myself on a continuous basis of the practices of the Supreme Court. And I have grasped the basis of the basic principles of the criminal proceedings, and of course the skill of writing scientific articles on the subject.
Thank you. Have I understood correctly that you have that you haven't represent any clients in the court, but you have experiences with your own cases. Represent yourself in the court hearings.
Так, протягом 2020-го,
throughout 2020,
2023,
throughout 2023 to 2024, I represented my interests, but as to representing other clients, I had such experience. I represented legal entities from 2002 to 2008 as I worked as a legal counsel. So I did represent legal entities in court.
Okay, thank you. You have many years of academic experience in the criminal law and criminal procedure law, as you explained, and you have been also in the court. In your view, what is the difference between academic competences and the practical readiness to handle the cases as a judge? What do you think? What your experience demonstrate your readiness for such a for this new possible job as a judge?
Безперечно, готує підготовка наукових публікацій.
The preparation of scientific articles has prepared me a lot, and it's not only about having theoretical knowledge and approaches formulated by academicians, but it's also about being aware of the national judicial practices and the international practices like those of the European Court of Human Rights.
Have you written any scientific articles on the topic of the corruption?
Стосовно корупції, наприкінці 2022
With regard to corruption in late 2022, if I'm not mistaken, I submitted an article about possibility to make deals in criminal proceedings related to corruption.
We know that you have previously applied for different positions within the Ukrainian judiciary as well. Can you explain why you did not accomplish those or win those competitions?
Необхідність, не те, що необхідність, бажання взяти участь у конкурсах, вона була зумовлена.
My motivation to participate in the competition was that I wanted to grow professionally and put into practice the knowledge and skills that I developed. And since 2008, I worked as the head of the legal department. So I combined my lecturing work and my administrative corporate work. I have always wanted to grow professionally.
But what were the reasons why you didn't succeed in previous competitions?
Якщо говорити про конкурс до Верховного
If we're talking about the competition to the Supreme Court, I did not get a couple of points during the tests and the practical assignment. if we are talking about competition to the HQCJ, the peculiarity of its conduct was that the candidates were submitting their documents and then they were informed whether they are recommended or not. Reasons were not explained. That was the condition of the competition. And I did not clarify why I was not recommended. With respect to my participation in the competition for the position of the HCJ, with respect to me, there was prepared a negative decision on the non-compliance of the candidate for filling in the position of the HCJ member by the Ethics Council.
You said, I think, today that you are not happy with these decisions and you don't agree with that. You have challenged it. But anyhow, I like to clarify a couple of things. What caused for the Ethics Council, and the first thing is living together or not living together with your mother, and according to your explanations, in years 2017 to 2018, you lived at address Ivano-Frankivsk, Shornovola Street. And your mother was also registered and reportedly lived at the same address. Can you explain, did your mother live there together with you or no? 2017 up to 2018.
Стосовно проживання моєї матері.
With respect to the residence of my mother and me at this address, indeed, in 2017-2018, I lived at this address. At the same address, my mother was registered, but my grandmother lived in Khmelnytsky region, starting from back since birth in 1924. So in 2016, my grandmother, who was over 90 years old back then, got sick. And my mother, for a long period of time, during long periods of time, was making trips to Khmelnytsky region where she was looking after her mother. And actually, due to these considerations, I did not declare my mother as my family member because for that declaration there were needed 3 criteria according to the explanations of the NACP that were in force as of the moment of the declaration submission. So that was joint residence, common household, and existence of mutual rights and obligations.
How was this apartment physically divided? Did your mother have a specific room allocated for her use? Even according to you, she was mostly apart from this apartment, but did she have any room in this apartment? And were her personal belongings, for example, kept in that room?
Yes, she has a separate room, and her personal belongings are stored there. That is a 3-room apartment.
Did anyone else live in that apartment during that period with you? And or you lived there alone?
No, during that period of time, no one lived there. And of course, my brother also had the right to use, and my son. But directly, they did not live there.
But you was there. You was there. You lived there.
Yes, I lived there.
You indicated that your mother took care of her mother in some village area. And you also explained that because of that he was physically not lived in this apartment most of the years. Can you somehow recall or explain how many days per year your mother lived actually with you in this apartment, and how many days she was in this village by her mother?
Точно я порахувати не можу.
Specifically, I cannot count the number of days. I can specify that she called the police because there was a robbery. Then again, she called the police because not sufficient actions for the consideration of her application were done, and the materials are prepared by the police that are included into the materials of the special check. There was a mark that she was a local resident. Moreover, I would like to specify that when I was submitting documents for participation in the competition, and the Ethics Council was assessing my submitted documents, I did not count that period of time because I was thinking that my mother and I did not have mutual rights and obligations because we were not sharing our household, apart from the registration of the place of residence in the same place.
But anyhow, your mother had a room in this apartment, and her belongings were in this separate room there. And
Yes.
Is that correct that at least some of the days your mother was in this apartment during 2017, 2018?
Ви знаєте, я вже після
You
рішення
know,
етичної ради
after the decision of the Ethics Council, I was asking that to myself because I did not have the goal to hide the income of my mother or the property that she had as of the moment of the declaration submission or as any other moment. Information about all of this property was reflected in the materials of the check during the competition to the HTJ, and it is also reflected in the materials of the current special check. So I did not have an intent to hide that because it's already available during the conduct of the special.
Thank you, but please be concise. My question was, did your mother at least some of the days stayed in this apartment during those years?
Протягом певних днів так,
During some days, yes, but I'm not sure that more than half a year.
Okay, thank you. From April 2019 to September 2021, you lived at different address at city Ivano-Frankivsk, and the street name was Nezalezhnosti, sorry for pronunciations. And this apartment, according to your explanations, also belonged to your mother before its sale in October 2021. It means that during this period, you also lived in the property owned by your mother.
Так, і цей
Yes,
нерухомості був
and that property was declared in my declaration for 2020. For 2021, I specified in my declaration the address of the place of residence at Chornovola Street because I lived there actually as of the 31st of December. And I did not declare this apartment at Nezalezhnosti Street because it was already sold as of the 31st of December.
But in this second apartment, did you live there alone, or was your mother also some room there?
Ні, матір проживала.
My mother lived at Chornovola Street, and again, until the moment of the death of her of the mother in 2019, and after that, she also, during long periods of time, she was in Khmelnytsky region, but she did not live at Nezalezhnosti Street.
You explained during the written question and answer that you supported your mother to, for example, to pay the maintenance costs and utility cost of the apartments. Can you explain in which year you supported your mother and what was the aim of this support, and maybe also the amounts per month, for example?
Така допомога мною надавалася.
This support was provided by me after the start of the full-scale invasion by the state's aggressor in 2022 and in 2023 as well. And the amount of this support was approximately 4,000 hryvnias per month. I provided the support in connection with the need to help my mother, who is a retired person.
Okay, but you haven't supported your mother before the war then? Not 2017, 18, 19?
Ні, протягом цих років.
No, during those years, no.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to go further about your savings and income. In 2018, you declared income of 160,000 hryvnias before tax, and increase of cash savings by $2,000. Can you clarify, explain how much of this US dollars or $2,000 was formed from your income earned in the same year, 2018, and how much from those savings accumulated in previous years? Was this just 1 year savings or accumulated during the longer time?
Заощадження
Savings in the amount of $2,000 were accumulated throughout 2018. I prepared a table. I converted these funds into hryvnias. Accordingly, my income was, if you allow, I will name only thousands of hryvnias. Without this, I will round up. My income was 160,000. After taxation, I had 134,500, and my savings were about 54,500 hryvnias. I provided assistance for my son in 2018 in the amount of about 39,000 hryvnias. And as expenses on my living, I had approximately 41,000 hryvnias left.
Understood I correctly that you accumulated this savings, $2,000 from your salary from the university?
Так.
Yes.
Did you keep your savings, those US dollars, in the cash at home or in the bank account?
Ні, зберігав готівку.
No, I kept it in cash, and I did not keep that at bank accounts.
Do you typically use cash or bank cards for your everyday expenses?
Для повсякденних витрат я
For everyday expenses, I use usually cash, even though repeatedly throughout the month, I do use bank cards as well.
It's correct that university transfer your salary in the bank account?
Так.
Yes.
And and to use cash in everyday life. It doesn't mean you withdraw this money from the bank account, from the ATM, to use it as a cash in everyday life.
Так, в переважній більшості випадків я
mostly yes. I withdraw the majority of my salary, and the smaller part of my salary is kept there for some other expenses.
Okay, I'm foreigner, and in Estonia we mostly use just bank cards. So, but maybe there are reasons for that in Ukraine. But can you explain, please, more in depth? Why it's more convenient to use cash in Ukraine, not using the bank cards?
Чесно кажучи, я не знаю,
Frankly
сформувалося.
speaking, I do not know. It's just practice. I will provide a brief example. In 2014, my father died. At his account, he had approximately 16,000 hryvnias, in the equivalent of approximately $2,000 at the currency exchange rate back then. In 2014, then the war started. After the death, according to the general rule, there was no will. So my mother was registering the inheritance for 6 months, and then we had to wait according to the rules. And then the bank bankrupted. We addressed the deposit insurance fund, and when my mother got these funds, in reality, it was already 2015. So more than a year passed, and she got less than $1,000.
In 2008, you purchased a Toyota Corolla for 17,000 hryvnias, approximately, or wrong numbers. And you indicated that to buy for that car, you use your savings, which were accumulated in 2002 up to 2008 in the amount of 83,000 hryvnias. And according to the tax declarations, a total family income in that period, you and together with your wife, was only 110 hryvnias. So it means that you basically saved 80% of your income during that period. How it is possible? It's I like to learn that.
Так, я після
Yes.
отримання запиту
After getting the request, I was recalculating that. The matter is that in Ukraine, we have several registers maintained. And I requested all the certificates and statements, and I saw that that information from the registers was not accurate, did not correspond to what I was getting. And all of these inaccuracies were reflected by me in the table that I've sent to the Commission. There you can see those periods of time that are available in one statement, but they are not available in other statements. And I added that up. With respect to the period from 2002 to 2008. My wife and I former wife, accumulated 83,000 hryvnias as savings. We were proceeding based on the fact that it was approximately, we had 1.5 subsistence minimums for our daily expenses. At the same time, back then we were a young family. We got married when we were 22 years old, and our parents were providing financial support to us. They were giving us help. My wife's father back then was engaged in entrepreneurial activities. My father worked in the security service, then in the foreign intelligence service. So their income allowed them to help us.
Thank you. You mentioned the partial financial assistance from your parents during this period and your ex-wife parents. Could you specify approximate amounts of this assistance? was it provided in monthly basis, or I don't know how was things back then?
Така допомога
This
надавалася
assistance was provided every month. The amounts were such that allowed us to live on that, and they allowed to cover all of our ongoing current expenses.
І грошові кошти надавалися готівково.
And money were provided in cash.
Obvious. Thank you. According to your curriculum, you divorced in 2013 from your ex-wife. Can you describe whether you also divided your family's property during their divorce?
В нас розподілу майна
So there was no division of property between us. According to the court decision, we had a minor child, and that's why the divorce was taking place in court. There was a court decision relevant. We don't have any property disputes between us. We agreed upon my support for maintenance of a child, and regarding the property, I had the Toyota vehicle and the land plot, which was purchased back in 2011. And my wife had those savings, which we had managed to accumulate after purchase of a vehicle in 28. So the savings which we had accumulated during the period 2009 to 2013.
Can you recall what was the amount of those savings what your wife received during the divorce?
Приблизний обсяг 13.
The approximate volume $13,000 according to calculations. And this data is also indicated in the table of income which I provided to you upon your request.
And it means that 2008 you purchased the Toyota Corolla, and you used for that your savings accumulated so far. And 2013, during divorce, it was 5 years later, you were able during that period also accumulate savings $13,000 US.
Так, починаючи з
Yes, starting 2009, the salaries levels have increased. In 2008, I changed my place of work, and at new place of work, I had a higher salary, and it means the economic situation in the state allowed us to employers to pay decent salaries to employees.
You indicated that you received some real estate, this land plot bought in 2011, but did your wife also receive any of real estate during this divorce?
майно, не тільки грошові кошти.
No property, only money.
Земельну ділянку.
Do you know that?
Regarding the land plot.
Okay, but do you know that maybe she doesn't receive anything from you, but maybe from your family members?
Ні, від моїх членів сім'ї вона так.
Nothing was received by her from my family members.
Єдине, у нас ще
The only thing we had also agreed regarding the land plot. So as of now, this land plot is not sold out, so it will be preserved till our son reaches the age of maternity, the age of maturity, and then it will be decided whether to sell it or not.
Okay, thank you. In 2020, you sold this mentioned Toyota Corolla, and you used those funds for the purchase of the new car. Can you remember buying this new car? Was these transactions in cash or via bank transfer? Can you recall that? buying a new car, 2020. Yeah. Toyota RAV4.
So that vehicle was purchased in a dealer's store, and it means that a bank transfer was done. So it means that I put money on the bank account, and the bank transfer was done to the bank account of the dealer store.
And this transfer was made in hryvnias.
Yes, yeah, in hryvnia, and before it, I exchanged monetary assets.
You have indicated that to buy this Toyota RAV4, you took also a loan, 130,000 hryvnia. Is that correct?
A little bit to specify, it was not a loan, it was money borrowed. It means that they were borrowed from my friends, but I didn't take it as a loan from the bank institution.
Okay. Yeah. What is borrowed money? Then this 130,000 hryvnias provided in cash to you?
Yes, in cash.
And according to your explanations, you have repaid already this borrowed money. Did you repay the money also in cash to this borrower?
Yeah. I also repaid this money in cash. Lesser part was returned back till the end of 2020, and major part of it was returned during 2021 upon my receipts of my salaries.
And understood, or is my conclusion correct, that you again withdraw the funds from your bank account, from your salary transferred by the university? You withdraw the money from the bank and gave it back to the borrower as cash.
Yes.
Is there any supporting bank evidence for that you almost all the money what you received as a salary withdraw from the bank as a cash?
Якщо звернутися до банківської установи,
if I ask the bank institution, yes, then yes. I didn't provide such documents, and I don't have bank confirmations regarding withdrawal of such money, but at the same time, this money is indicated in those underlying documents from the tax registers and pension fund registers, which I attached to my replies, that I'm also the owner of such money. And this money was enough to repay the borrowed money and to cover my daily expenses.
And the last question is about this. You indicated that to buy this Toyota RAV4, you also used accumulated funds, $14,000 in savings. Can you explain in which year you could accumulate such a sum? To use it to buy a car.
This money were accumulated during the year period 2014 to 2019 as savings in USD dollars. In my table, I provided detailed explanations, how I saved and which amounts. Generally, as of the moment of the purchase of a vehicle, I managed to accumulate $14,000. And also, in order to buy this vehicle, I used my salary received in the year 2020 in the amount of almost 81,000 hryvnia, and also during the 2021 I repaid the borrowed money based on the salaries that I received during 2021.
You explained that during the divorce you agreed with your ex-wife that you periodically support your child. What was the amount? According to your explanations, you provided this support every month. Was that correct?
Yes, it's correct. I provided and I keep providing this support. The approximate amount in the equivalent of USD dollars, it's 100 USD per month. Why in the equivalent? Because exchange rate was different during different times. So when I have an opportunity, I provide a higher level of support, not only financial, but also in terms of purchase of clothing and other things.
Considering this child support and your declared income and this accumulated savings, $40,000 it means what it seems to me that your living standard was quite low, because after all of that the remaining money per month was quite low. Can you explain what was your general living conditions in those years?
In general, so we were speaking about the year 2018, and it was one of the it was the hardest in terms of financial nature. But starting 2019, I can give you amounts of income after tax. What I managed to save, that's what I had. Yeah, of course, those calculations are quite approximate because I used an exchange USD rate average per year, not per month. So I earned 2008,000, 2020, 47,000 was saved, and for son, 49,000 was for my son maintenance, and 81 was left for me for. And if we're speaking about the general subsistence minimum, not an income level, but subsistence minimum. So it means a subsistence minimum indicated by the state, which was enough to pay utilities, buy clothes, and cover daily needs. It was $45,000. So it means that my income after all expenses was almost twice higher than subsistence minimum. The relevant situation was also in 2020s. The income after tax was almost 225,000, 52,500 for maintaining of my son, 91,000 of savings, and I had almost 81,500 left for my coverage of my expenses, and the subsistence minimum was almost 48,000. In 2021, my income was almost 285,000 for my son, 55,000 savings, 120,000, and for daily expenses, I had 110,000 almost, and the subsistence minimum was twice less, 54,000. So it means that my funds for covering my daily expenses were almost twice higher than subsistence minimum indicated by the state.
You mentioned that especially year 2018 was quite hard in economic means for you. Did you manage to save anything in that particular year?
Yes, we have already discussed it. During 2018, I managed to accumulate $2,000.
despite of that this year was, from economic point of view, very hard to. You just said it. That 2018 was very hard year for you. Okay, thank you. No more further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Haas. I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind. I have noted that you work for the university, what's called the Odessa Law Academy. That's correct, huh? Odessa is called, Odessa Law.
Я працював.
I worked, so I have a main place of employment and I have a part-time employment. So speaking about main place of employment, so my main place of employment had been starting 2008 till now is
За основним місцем в Одеській юридичній
the
академії.
Odessa Law Academy, but at the branch of this academy located in the city of Ivano-Frankivsk. As second part-time employment, I work directly at the Odessa Law Academy, where I carry out guidance over dissertation works written by postgraduate students studies. So the main place of work right now is called Ivano-Frankivsk Institute of the Odessa Law Academy.
I understand that the chairman of this university is a Mr. Kovalchuk. Do you know him?
Президентом університету
The president of the academy in Odessa itself, yes, Mr. Kovalchuk, and yes, I know him.
Yes. Can you explain your relationship with him? How is that? How is your relationship with him?
Відносини робочі.
My relations are working relations. We know each other for more or less 15 years, starting 2010, when I was a deputy dean of the faculty in the Ivano-Frankivsk branch, and then that faculty was under direct subordination of the Odessa Law Academy. I took some trips to Odessa to sign some working documents by him. So we met back in 2010s, yeah, and we keep having working relations.
I understand that Mr. Kovalchuk is a former politician who has relations with, let's say, Russia and Mr. Putin. What's your view of that?
Generally, my view regarding communication with representatives of Russia, specifically with Putin, is extremely negative.
So why do you work for this faculty if that is extremely negative, your view on that?
That's the place of work, my direct place of work, and he had carried out guidance and management over this university for a long period of time, for many years. So generally, he doesn't impact significantly on the policies of the university. He doesn't spread his political views among employees of this university, specifically in Ivano-Frankivsk branch. And even more to say, starting 2023, in the Ivano-Frankivsk city, the legal entity, separate legal entity was established. And this legal entity is separated from the Odessa Law Academy, and now it's called Ivano-Frankivsk Institute of the Odessa Law Academy. And Mr. Kovalchuk is not the manager or the president of this institute in Ivano-Frankivsk.
I can't find it exactly on the internet, but I believe that the whole or part of the university is in fact owned by Mr. Kovalchuk.
Ні, Національний
No.
університет Одеської
The National University Odessa Law Academy is a state-owned enterprise. So it means that at this university, as at any other university or higher institution, we have the position of the dean who carries out, or the rector who carries out current functions, and we have also another honored position of a president of the university. Mr. Kovalchuk is the president of the university. But at the same time, this university is a state-owned enterprise. And regarding this Ivano-Frankivsk Institute, where I have my main place of employment, that's actually a private-owned institution. And Mr. Kovalchuk is not an owner of this private higher education institution, but the owner is Kyiv Institute of Intellectual Property, the owner of this institute in Ivano-Frankivsk.
I read here, but maybe that in any case in Odessa there's a cologne of the university that's owned by the family Kovalchuk. I understand that also somewhere his son is involved in this new private college. And what I also read is, and I don't know what's all true because I just read it. When I look at him on the internet, I see pictures of Mr. Kovalchuk with Mr. Putin. I read here that Mr. Kovalchuk is a member of the Ukrainian Parliament's opposition bloc party, which is goes back to the period of Yanukovych. I read that his wife just obtained a building in Odessa. It doesn't sound so good if I'm a foreigner. I have no knowledge whatsoever, but when I read this, then I think, what is this? Can you imagine?
Стосовно навчального закладу, якщо говорити про навчальний заклад,
So if we take the
заклад в приватній формі власності,
educational establishment, it is called International Humanitarian Institute, and I'm not ready to talk about composition of its founders, but Kovalchuk is among them. Kovalchuk is the president of that institution. It is a private one, and the Odessa Law Academy is a state one. Regarding the political party, he registered a political party, Marine Party of Serhiy Kovalchuk. I'm not a member of this party. I know of its existence. And with regards to how I evaluate this, I evaluate it negatively, and I actually, in 2014, the state gave its evaluation when there was a purification of power. So the state has already done it in terms of lawfulness. I could say that I evaluate this party negatively.
Did you look at other interviews we have done as a preparation for this one?
Так дивився.
Yeah. Did you see the
Yes, I have.
we had with Olena Tanasevich? Have you seen that?
Так.
Yes. And you
Yes,
will
I
remember
have.
that we asked questions about a, let's say, scandal which was put forward in the press because there was a, let's say, a drinks venue where people were invited, and Mrs. Tanasevich, she was, say, the chief of the HAK, and she went to this university of Odessa, and then it appeared that there was a activity there, and she went down there, and then in that same activity was a Mr. Vovk, who was invited by Mr. Kovalchuk. And then the newspapers were completely full with this fact. It says, how can it be that the head of the HAK is in a drinks thing in this university with Mr. Kivalov and Mr. Vogt. This is a scandal. This cannot be in the Hague. You know these facts, of course. Do you?
Ці факти мені відомі виключно
Yes, I know about these facts from the news in the media, and I did not participate in these events, and I don't know Mr. Vovk in person.
But my question to you is, what do you think will happen if we would select you? That someone who works for a long time in this university that is dominated by a man, which apparently has somewhat of a reputation, and you become a member of the Hague while you work in a university where there are relations apparently with the Russian government, which is there are relations with a political party connected with someone who's not very much in favor of many things we are doing now. Do you think that would be acceptable?
Думаю, що не буде прийнятно,
Well,
оскільки
I think it will not be appropriate because that university has employed me for a long time, and the relationship that I may have had with other individuals there were strictly professional. I provided lectures to the students, that I may have been invited to some public events by them.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, please, Jessica.
Good afternoon. I have one question, some questions for you regarding the master's in psychology that you completed from the International Humanitarian University in 2005. Can you please describe your studies and any thesis or publications that you completed during your studies?
Я вступив у 2003-му.
So I entered there in 2003 and I graduated in 2005.
Працював за основним місцем роботи в університеті.
So I studied there as absentee, and through the distance learning, I also studied in Chernivtsi. And the specifics of education there is that structural departments of the University of Odessa Law Academy can be located in other areas, and then the diploma is signed by the rector of the core university. Throughout my learning, I have had 3 exam sessions. They were held via Zoom, and I completed my master's thesis titled Psychological Specificities of Interrogations During Pretrial.
Thank you. I will ask you just some basic questions about, first year bachelor's level psychology. Can you please just describe the difference between the biological perspective, cognitive perspective, and psychosocial perspective in psychology? And can you please just provide the name of one thinker or writer in relation to each?
Справа в тому, що я не навчався на
the thing is, I did not complete bachelor's degree, and the specificity of education there is that I could have a specialist degree of from a different field of knowledge. So I missed the bachelor's level in psychology, so I cannot answer your question. And I have not worked in psychology to be knowledgeable enough to answer it.
Can you tell me what is the meaning of the word psychosocial?
Psychosocial, for example, psychosocial characteristics of an individual that reflects their psychological and social qualities.
Can you tell me what is the meaning of cognitive?
Cognitive is related to learning and perception.
Can you tell me the name of one psychologist or a textbook that you used during your psychology master's studies? One scholar of psychology, anyone.
For example, I refer to works of Olena Tsilman. I used her thesis when writing my master's thesis, Alexei Chernovsky, Viktor Koshinets.
Can you tell me something about both of those scholars' philosophies, or what is their area of research and writing?
So all those three that I mentioned are doctors in psychology. Their areas of interest. Miss Silmak is interested in a wide array of topics, particular using psychological approaches in judicial practice and using psychological states in investigators' activities. Then the other scholar, second scholar, his area is using psychological data when considering cases in court. And then Viktor Koshinets, his thesis was dedicated to judicial psychology. He researched, as far as I remember, psychological specificities of criminal cases consideration.
And just one final question on this topic. Can you name me one international scholar related to psychology, and tell me a little bit about their general philosophy, their approach?
I cannot respond this question now.
It doesn't have to be a living scholar. It could be like any famous psychologist and their philosophies from the 20th century. No further questions.
Thank you. Mary? No? You have a question? No? Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Дякую. Я в свою чергу передаю слово Слободашу Роману Богдановичу.
Дякую, пане Олеже. Мої колеги вже поставили чимало запитань. Я думаю,
My colleagues have already asked a lot of questions. Some of those have already been asked in the ethical session. So you were asked about being in the branches, being in one of the branches of the university. Could you specify your colleagues' titles, etc.? Since 2008,
цієї філії. Філія була створена початково як навчально-консультаційний центр.
So
Вона була юридичним
I have been there. That the branch was set up as a branch of the university.
Можу з'ясувати, оголошена повітряна тривога.
So an air raid alert is on, and we need to make a decision. The secretariat members, what do you say? Can we continue?
Можемо продовжувати.
Yes, we can continue. PCIe members, shall we continue or shall we go to the shelter? Because we do not know the nature of the air raid. Robert.
Зазначається про виліт винищувача. Пусків поки не бачу.
Is this again the ballistic threat?
Поки що не зрозуміло.
Oh yeah.
Поки що не зрозуміло.
Still unknown, not clear.
Не чую. Перекладіть, будь ласка. Йдеться про виліт винищувачів, але
So it's about fighter aircraft,
поки що не знаю.
but we don't have any more details
Колеги,
as of now. Thank you,
тоді
colleagues.
продовжуємо і слідкуємо за
Then we
інформацією.
can continue and we will keep monitoring it.
Можу відповідати.
So I can continue my answer.
Пане Роберте, вимкніть, будь ласка, всі мікрофони, бо
Robert, could you turn off the mic?
мікрофони вимкніть. Є? Все.
Так.
Thank
Мова йде
you.
про адміністративні посади, тому що там
So it's about administrative positions because there was some confusion. I was a deputy director of the Scientific Consultation Center, deputy head,
орієнтовно роки не
and the year. Let me follow the chronology. 2008 to 2015, deputy head of Scientific Consultation Center, deputy dean
на посадах професора.
until 2015, and then you were professor, docent and professor. Then I was deputy head of department. But first I worked in Ivano-Frankivsk, then associate professor in Chernivtsi, and then from
Ну, маю на увазі заступника.
and how about administrative positions? I wanted to finish my doctor's thesis. I defended it in 2018, and then I left the administrative position
Зрозуміло.
and
Скажіть, будь
then
ласка,
resumed
на
teaching.
засіданні етичної ради вам
In the ethical council meeting, you were asked about the circumstances of your divorce and property division.
членів етичної ради. Я просто хотів би це зараз уточнити.
And I would like to clarify this issue now. You said back then that you still had a car, a land plot after divorce, and your wife got her mother's apartment, and that shocked the ethical council members. We were talking about property division, and
Це відповідає дійсності.
I explained the way it was,
Але
and
це не знімає поставленого питання, а
it
чому
is
такий
like this.
розподіл?
But why was property divided like this? You have the car and land plot, and the ex-wife that you
Квартира її матері. Вона б і так з нею залишилася.
with whom you have a son, she only got her mother's apartment. So that was the agreement that we reached at that time, and there is no dispute. I value my relationship with my son. I'm not asking about this. I just wanted to clarify the issue voiced during the ethical council session.
Ще у вас виникало питання з приводу...
One more thing.
У мене виникло питання під час ознайомлення.
I had one more question regarding the materials. Speed violations, quite significant in Ivano-Frankivsk, within the city, about 93 kilometers per hour.
Детальніше пояснити,
Could you give us more details on this? Because you seem to be local, you know where the cameras are located, and if you decrease the speed to 93, then it might have been even bigger. So I didn't reduce it. So when the city area began, well, actually, those areas are not really clearly divided in Ivano-Frankivsk. And were you hurried? No, I wasn't. It was the day of my father's death, so I may have been inattentive. I recognize that. Okay, clear. Then you appealed you made an appeal. Could you detail on that more? It was about parking, and I parked at the crossroads. Yeah, I know that crossroads.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
There is no sound from the room.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, there's no sound here. Okay.
After a technical break, let's continue our meeting. Please continue your questions. I will repeat the question. So, there might be an impression that you came to see your mother. That's across the street where you parked, if we look at the map. But for some reason, you specified another reason for the challenge of the parking fine. No, my main goal was the absence of the crossing. The report was prepared in connection with the fact that I parked my car at a distance of less than 10 meters from the crossing. But I made pictures and I challenged that report, yes. And then the court stated that everything was evident there. They painted it on the picture? No, between the consideration of the first instance and the Court of Appeal. They installed the sign and they equipped that. I just read the decision of the first instance. I was challenged with the Court of Appeal, and what about the Court of Appeal? No, they upheld the decision of the first instance court. Okay, it's not important. Another question about the apartment. That's an apartment raised by civil society organizations, and I think it was also discussed at the meeting of the Ethics Council. So, I mean, in the suburbs of Kyiv. not suburbs, but Chaika. I will not clarify where specifically. There is a question about a sufficiency of your mother's income to purchase these bonds. At the meeting of the Ethics Council, you explained it by the fact that maybe she had some other savings. Since then, have you managed to clarify that? Yes. Back then, I was not ready to answer that question. I did not have supporting documents. As of now, upon request, I provided supporting documents. My brother works starting from 2010 in the embassies of Ukraine in different countries of the world. Among other things, I provided his income statement during the period from 2010 until 2012, where he had his funds were sufficient for the purchase of this apartment. He provided an explanation to me that he was helping parents with the purchase of that apartment. Moreover, my father, from 2004 to 2011, worked in the Foreign Intelligence Service, and before that, he worked in the Security Service. He had sufficient salary. He had sufficient payments of other sorts in order to accumulate savings. I wanted to get the income statement regarding my father from the Security Service, but they told me that this information is in the archive. And since the last place of employment of my father is the Foreign Intelligence Service, I could not get that. Okay. Now let's go back to the question asked by my colleagues with respect to expenses on living. You specified that your expenses corresponded to the actual subsistence minimum, correct? In 2018, if we're talking about 2018, yes. Look, I'm, that actually we have not in this expenses not only from the Ministry of Social Policy, but average cost of the population's expenses is also accounted by the State Statistics Service. The procedure is quite simple. Selected persons throughout the year record all of their expenses, which allows the State Statistics Service to form the average level of expenses of the population. I'm sure that your expenses were hardly minimal, because when we are talking about minimal, that's one shirt for a couple of years, quite limited nutrition menu, etc. And according to State Statistics Service, average expenses in 2018 were at the level of 61,000. In 2019, it was 71,000 per one person. In 2020, it was 77,000. Then 90,000 in 2021. So there remains a question about your savings. My expenses, except for 2018, were 81,000 in 2019, and in 2021 that was almost 110,000. What about the expenses? That's apart from savings. Upon request, I provided the table. That's a question: where did you get your savings? Because with these expenses, to accumulate this amount, it's quite difficult to do. In my table, I calculated, basically, these expenses maybe were not reaching that statistics that you are talking, but they never were lower than the actual subsistence minimum. That's why I have no doubt that they corresponded to the actual subsistence minimum. But there is a difference between the average and the actual. Okay. Another question is about objects that were acquired in 2024 by your family members as of today. And here we are talking about the acquisition of 2 land plots and the construction of objects. Yes. Tell me, please. What was the price of the object construction? Because according to the information from the declaration, the value there is 275,000, which is not corresponding even to average construction value. 275,000. I do not recall this amount. There is a declaration on the readiness of the object for use, and among other things, it also includes information about expenses on the construction construction of this project. Maybe they entered this amount there, but I cannot tell you that because my wife and I were transferring these funds through the bank account to our daughter. I did not ask who was buying that. I tried making that a bit more sensitive. Yes, we transferred the amount that in 2024 was about 3 million hryvnias. In 2025, it was 1.5 million hryvnias approximately. And that money was enough to buy the land plot. But why this amount? Why, by the way, was the amount of the value 140,000? Because that's 2.7 or 2.8 hundredths of square meters. And the second sale and purchase agreement was a small amount as well. That was an entry road. Yes, that's a very small object. It's clear that it said something additional, and the amount was 8,000, but it's not that important. I'm interested about more in the value of the mainland plot. That land plot is divided into 8 parts. Each of that parts has approximately 2.7, 2.8 hundredths of square meters. So the area is very small. The value specified is 140,000 hryvnias, but given that this is the suburbs of Kyiv, then I have a question about the price. Okay, there is appraisal. Yes. Okay. Okay, then I've asked my main questions. Also, during your interview, we received a request, appeal from Antak Center regarding the candidate for the position of the judge. Most of these questions were asked either by PCAE members or me. And from questions that have not been asked, I think we can only single out one. That's the question about your academic consultant. You worked at the same time, during the same period of time. Yes, my academic consultant worked in Odessa Law Academy until 2015. After that, he worked in the European University. So, as of the moment of the dissertation defense, he was not my supervisor. I just mean that you stopped performing administrative functions at the same time. No, I did that later. Yes. He resigned in 2015, and I did that in 2016. Is it related, just for us not to disclose surnames, is it related to that scandal or no? No, it's not related to that scandal. No, it's not. After that, I worked for about 6 months. No, it's not related. If necessary, during the closed session, I can explain that in detail. I think that everything is clear. Colleagues, I have no more questions. Colleagues, do you have any other questions? Yes, please, Serhiy. Mr. Serhiy, I have a question. I would like to continue the question of Mr. Roman, and I would like to come back to 2018. On the example of 1 year, I would like to see how you managed to accumulate savings in foreign currency. You were providing statistics regarding that year. You had 160,000 as income before taxation, and you kept about 130,000 after taxation, and then you had 41,000 for residence, right? Something was spent on your son, and everything was at the minimum level, right? There were expenses on support of my son, and apart from savings, I had purely expenses on my life in the amount of approximately 41,000. 41,000 per year. Let's be honest, for everyone to understand what we are talking about. A man who is buying RAV4 from the car dealer is living for 3,000 hryvnias per month. And now we want to tell that to everyone who is watching our interview. I've mentioned that it was a very difficult year financially. During that year, before the defense of the dissertation, I took 2 months. Mr. Serhiy, please. You did not I'll hear the question till the end. Roman said that the State Statistics Service is managing statistics of actual expenses. And in Ivano-Frankivsk region, that's 61,000 in that year. It's average per region because, for example, in Rogatin it's lower and in the regional center it's higher. On average, it's 61,000. So if we are talking about Ivano-Frankivsk, that's much higher, probably 70, 80,000. But we will not even talk about that. We are talking about the region together with the small villages where these expenses are much lower. On average, in the region, it was 61, and you had 41,000. So you have already the deficit of 20,000. And at the same time, you managed to have 2,000 of dollars in that year. So you managed to accumulate savings in the amount $2,000 while you did not even have enough for your life. So it looks doubtful, frankly speaking, that a man who lives on the subsistence minimum and even is saving in such a way that he is not even reaching the actual level of expenses in the region is setting aside dollars. That's a very strange situation. Please tell me. I have such a question. In view of all of this, can the PCIe and HQCJ have a reasonable doubt that, in fact, your expenses did not correspond to your income during that year, to the minimum during that year? Under these circumstances, you can have a doubt. First of all, that's the only year where I did not have enough money from the perspective of an external observer. But they were not alive for life. Please agree with that. It looks like that. But okay, my next question is different. Look, the declaration for 2021, cash savings, 0. Am I not mistaken? Cash assets, 0. 2024, it's $30,000. So in 3 years, you managed to save $10,000 per year. Can you please tell us how? These were funds that were accumulated by my wife from her salary. These funds were declared by her after marriage in order to avoid questions, and she divided the group approximately in half between my and her declarations. In her declaration for 2024, if I'm not mistaken, was checked, and the NCP did not establish violations. These were not my. That was not my things. That was from her salary. Okay, thank you. Colleagues, Alexander. Thank you for this opportunity to ask questions. So, Commission Member Melnik, I've heard from you that referring to the decision of the Ethics Council, you mentioned that you were recognized as non-compliant with integrity criteria. But if I say that you were not recognized as having integrity, will you agree? I will partially agree. There was adopted a decision on my recognition as lacking integrity for filling in the position of the member of the HCJ. But according to the ruling of the Grand Chamber of the Supreme Court, that opinion matters exclusively for the competition in which I took part back then. That is the competition for the position of the HCJ member. So it does not have any prejudice meanings for other competition. It's great that you're aware of that. Besides, I have another good news for you. Even in view of that, you were not recognized as lacking integrity. You were recognized as non-compliant with the criteria regarding professional ethics and integrity in that competition. So, no body that conducts respective procedures is not authorized to recognize someone as having or lacking integrity. That's important. Please be aware of that and do not leave with an opinion that someone somehow told that you lacked integrity. Luckily, we do not have this as powers. Okay, next. You've mentioned that in 2022, you prepared an article that was dedicated to plea deals regarding corruption criminal offenses. We know that in November of 2024, there were respective amendments to the criminal procedure legislation, and the Institute of Plea Deals was modernized, including plea deals regarding criminal corruption offenses. Tell me, please, did the legislator take into account your suggestions prepared in your academic article? No, the completely opposite situation. When I was publishing article under Article 75, I referred to the analysis of the case law of the first instance courts and the case law of the Hague. Back then, there was a case law of the first instance courts. Some of them allowed such plea deals, others did not allow concluding such plea deals. Back then, the Hague did not allow conclusion of such plea deals, and I supported its case law. Back then, there were amendments adopted in 2024, and there was an opportunity to have these plea deals under some corruption criminal offenses as set out by the law. After that, I did not refer to this issue, and I did not publish any other articles. So back then, I expressed a position that was compliant with the case law.
Thank you. And going back to the Institute of Agreements as it exists as of now, and as it was changed, amended. So what do you think? What's the difference of the pre-guilty deals in the criminal proceedings related to corruption offenses considered by the Hague? So first of all, that's an opportunity to have such a deal. And so one of the parties to such process shall be a prosecutor or the head or the deputy head of the Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. And more to say, such deals are possible to conclude only under criminal proceedings where the potential conviction is not more than 8 years of deprivation of liberty, or where the potential punishment is less than this. Also, such deals shall envisage significant terms and conditions, including any agreements between the parties regarding application of such plea-guilty deal. And regarding corruption cases, there could be additional punishment application only in those cases when it's specifically envisaged in the wording of the deal and agreed by the parties. Thank you. And it's also related to the nuances. So, is it possible to conclude a plea-guilty deal with an organizer of a corruption offense? The code envisages the specifics of such conclusion of such deal, so it shall not be concluded with an organizer. So you cannot have a deal with an organizer of a severe and extremely severe crime, and also it's not possible to have such a deal in cases when they made obstacles to disclose other corruption offenses or whistleblowers. So, yeah, in specifics, you cannot have a deal with an organizer, but it's possible to have a deal only if an organizer provides an information which actually ensures to disclose information regarding another corruption offense or to find another perpetrator. So that's how the text of the law sounds. Okay, thank you. I have no other questions. No questions? Serhiy Oleksandrovych, then you have 1 minute to provide explanation. So maybe if you want to inform us of anything else, no, all information has been provided. I would like to say thank you to the respected PCIe members and HQCJ members for the work that they do. Their work is extremely important. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for participation in this interview. The interview regarding you is announced to be closed, and we